Hello, hello, my name is Maro, and this is my Summer Games Done Quick 2019 submission for Super Benbo Quest Turbo Deluxe Any%. This is an indie platformer that came out in March of 2018. It takes a look at other indie platformers and says, I'm not like you other girls. It's somewhere between a slapdash meme game and a meaningful satire on the concept of a retro indie platformer. Also, there is many skeletons, so without further ado, we're going to get into it. 3, 2, 1, go. So the primary movement tech for this game is known as a spin boost. Looks a little something like that. By spinning in the air and then turning around before you hit the enemy, and then letting go of all D-pad inputs, it will amplify the knockback we get for colliding with an enemy. And then because we're going backwards, it'll add negative speed to our negative speed, which puts us above the speed cap, which means we can do anything we want as long as we don't go back to below the speed cap. And so that includes basically any other attack. You saw I did a dive kick there and it canceled out all of the spin boost speed. And touching a wall, taking damage, turning around of course. All of these things will take that speed away. And you can see there just how immensely fast it is when you get a couple of them stacked. And here we got the one and only zip in the game. Not entirely sure why it works, but I'm not complaining. And here for this boss fight, I'm going to stand on a very specific part of the wall. Right around here. And then as he hits me, I can start punching early because I hit the ground before I'm supposed to. And then that gives me enough backward speed to clip into his hurt box and turn him around over and over and over, which resets his attack timer, which means he can't shoot us anymore, which means we can just punch him for free and end the fight super fast. Gonna pause and skip a cutscene there. Intentionally dying is actually a very valid strategy in a lot of parts of this game. And so here the main strat is just kind of stay to the right in case you get hit by these firearms. There we go. You can just wall jump and be right back at him. Up and at him. I get shot down, but I get up again. You're never going to shoot me down. And there we go. That was a very solid phase 2. Only like 2 firearms? That's not bad at all. If it goes poorly, you can actually get like 5 or 6 and that'll pretty much kill you. But we didn't get that, so that's fine. And now the second tech in the game, which is going to come up in just a little bit, is called the Super Jump Punch. And fun fact, when you use a dash punch in this game, it lowers your gravity. Which means if you do that at the same frame as a jump, you'll get this insanely high jump. Just like this. Oh, just like this. And like I said, it is frame perfect, so I'm most likely not going to get all of them first try. But the amount of times it saves is immense in a lot of places. And it is the dash punch at the same time as the jump, so you get the effects of both, meaning it does have the hitbox right in front of you for the entire time, which of course makes it useful for both platforming and combat. And here we're going to just jump up this tunnel. And this particular stretch of room I have to play very carefully because those throwers, they're not easy to spin boost because of the projectiles, but they also don't start throwing until they're on screen for a certain amount of time, which means if you play your cards right, you can just sneak right past both of them. Turned around a little too early there, which meant it was backward speed to my forward speed, which no bueno. Alright, low path is fine. It's a little bit slower, but I'll take it. Normally you do the higher path because you can do a big dive kick, and then that'll save you a little bit of time. But as it stands, we didn't do too badly. Refilled my health there because there is a little bit of a window where you can't pause for certain rooms. But there what you saw me do is that there is a flutter ability, which I'm not sure is even talked about in any of the game's media, where if you mash jump while falling, it'll slow your descent, which lets you cover huge distances. I'm playing this room kind of safe, just because a lot of stuff can go really wrong really fast. And there we go. You're supposed to wait for the raft there, but we actually were able to skip it because of the flutter ability. If it goes perfectly, you can just keep your spin boost momentum throughout, and then it looks really solid, really crisp, but it is pretty tough to do, especially in a no reset kind of environment. And that guy there in particular loves to jump really high for no good reason. So there we are. And there's what I was trying to do in the first room. We turn around right before taking damage, which allows us to abuse the iframes right into the lava, and then walk across it like some kind of demon. But we're not a demon. And not a lot going in this room. I just kind of got to break these blocks. If I stop punching for any amount of time, they will block my block my path, and I will fall off the raft and pretty much instantly die. Got a pretty precise super jump punch coming up. A little early, but no big deal. Alright, big deal. Can do the backup. There we go. And that allows us to get to this room a little bit earlier instead of having to run to the left and then run back out to the right. I could have gotten a little better if I had just waited a couple extra frames, but it is pretty precise, and it is a frame-perfect trick. The fact I was able to get it at all is good news for me. And here we are. Like I said, the dash punch is a hitbox the entire time, which means you can just take out an enemy, or excuse me, a collection of smaller enemies really quickly. You're normally supposed to use a super jump punch and the dive kick to kind of knock all the heads off while they're connected to the big guy. But when they run off to the corner like that, you can still hit a lot of them, pretty much one frame at a time with a dash punch. And that is pretty good. For the way that went, it was a pretty solid fight. And we got about 40 seconds of cutscene here. As we transition from level 2 to level 3, we're going to board an airplane as we rise upon this tower of bones from our skeleton brethren who has fallen in battle. And here we are. There's going to be a pretty good mix of both movement techs in the third level, which is kind of funny it works out like that, but what can you do sometimes? And I'm going to try to cater my movement around certain obstacles. Oh, I got it. Alright, never mind. I'm trying to plan my movement around those planes because they're actually moving so fast that you can clip into them as they pass by you, which is no good because that counts as being in the wall, and that means you lose all your spin boost speed. So I'm just trying to move around them instead of moving through them so I can keep as much of my spin boost speed as I can. There we go. That was a pretty wonky spin boost, but I'll take it. Gonna refill health here and then do what's known as tail fin skip. By doing a super jump punch off of that one particular block, we can go backwards through this invisible floor, and because we can hit a very small section of the tail fin of the plane, which you can wall jump off of, which helps us a lot. And it saves about 30 to 35 seconds compared to going the old-fashioned way. Gonna get a couple boosts off of the car guy, and then we're gonna have to deal with all that lag. It lags a little bit differently every time, and we're not entirely sure why it does. But it's only like a second or two. Like, world record isn't decided by how much you lag or anything. Whoa. Almost had a disaster there, but we avoided it. So there we go. Moving right along. Gonna play that platform super safe because it's about 35 seconds out from the checkpoint, and I do not want to lose that health. And I'm gonna refill even though I only had one hit point lost, because this fight is super tough in terms of damage output. This is going to be a little bit loud, so cover your ears. Ouch! I'm a headphone user, I should have been aware. But this is the Skelenator. We call him Arnold because it's a funny Terminator reference. And he's going to go back and forth, hopefully in circles, which means we can switch sides to keep him in the center of the plane. Because if he goes off stage like this, there's not a whole lot you can do other than wait for him to come back. And of course, if you're off the edge of the plane, that's where you can die instantly. But thankfully, the super jump punch can come in handy for not only hitting him multiple times, but it can throw off the aim of his beams, which means that's one less thing you gotta worry about. Oh, that was right into it. That was not fortunate at all. But there we go. And also, for whatever reason, the first time you die, and only the first time on this boss fight, when he comes back, he doesn't have limbs. I'm not entirely sure why, but it's hilarious. Well, okay. Was able to use the spin boost kind of knockback to launch myself back onto the stage instead of falling to my doom. So I will take it. Gonna wait for him just to kind of get back over here. And again, this fight there's no real manip to it other than keep him spinning in the center of the stage. But once he falls out of that pattern, it's pretty tough. But there we go. And those missiles can actually kill you after you defeated him, which is really, really, really frustrating. But we managed to avoid it this time. And we're moving on to the 4th level, which is Office. Now, at the start of this level, there's going to be a death warp, which is not quite like any other death warp I've seen. Because we're going to need to reload the room until it drops a number to 32. Which sounds weird, but I'll explain why in a second. Normally you have to reload the room by running through about 45 seconds of just cutscenes and talking, and nothing really going on. But if you reload the room by dying, pay attention to that floor count, 34, 33, 32. And that saves, again, like I said, 45 seconds just by reloading the room in an unintended way. The first time I ran this in a marathon was Resort Fest International. And the dev of this game, the main devs were watching, and they were freaking out when they did that. When I did that, it was really good time. Well, okay. And there we go. Got the hard reads. That boss likes to show up wherever he wants, whenever he wants. So the main strategy is just get in the air and then dive kick wherever he lands. And again, like I said, every time I do a super jump punch, it's frame perfect. And that guy was really no big deal. He used to be a lot tougher, but standing in one particular spot meant he'll never hit you, and you can just wail on him with punches. The same with this guy. There we go. No big deal. And here we're going to try to dash punch him into the corner, but it can go really wrong really fast. Oh, yeah, he jumped there. That's not good. Gotta play this one kind of improv style. We can normally push him into the corner and then use a single dash punch to wipe him out pretty much instantly, but we couldn't get that today. A little unfortunate. Alright, so in this room, it's normally called the helicopter hallway, but we have despawned the helicopter. Meaning a lot of the danger we'd be outrunning at this point is just not going to be there. Can just go crazy fast. You can see just how much spin boost stacking actually helps. And we're going to do it there, and we're going to come down here. I'm going to refill health in here instead of in a second, because we can actually navigate this part of the level blind before it's loaded all the way. Oh. Alright, saved it. I almost fell into a pit there, but I was able to wall jump back and forth to climb out. Blind, also. Completely couldn't see it. The helicopter is back, though, because we did die and respawn. But that's okay. As long as we keep moving, it's no big deal. And we can hit a very small section of the loading zone by dive kicking at that particular part of the wall. Oh, he's going to hit us. He didn't hit us. It's fine. Can we get Lucky Door? No, we can't. Sometimes that grate will hit the door for you, which saves like a second. It's, you know, runs aren't decided by whether or not you get a Lucky Door. It's just a little cool thing to see. And we're actually mashing with the start button there instead of the way we used to do it, which was every other button. It was actually in the most recent patch, they added in the ability to skip all text with start. Instead of doing like 2 inputs to open a box and 2 to close it, it would just skip all the ones in that dialogue tree, basically. Not dialogue tree, like dialogue chain, I guess. So that saves a lot of time compared to previous patches. And here we are in Benbo City. Oh. That is why I was saying about spin boosting those guys. Oh. Alright, saved it. That was almost really bad. Oh, this is actually really bad. I have to play this a lot safer than I normally do. Alright, we're fine. We are A-okay. So now this is the bike segment, and the bike segment is really, really tough because it's an insanely fast auto-scroller. You might be asking, why am I refilling my health? Well, we actually die in a single hit, no matter what. If this bicycle touches a wall, if it touches an enemy the wrong way, it will immediately break. And there is a small problem with this, is that there's a very small window of time where our punch is behind us, which means if we mistime it, we can actually get hit while we're punching, which, not good, because this segment is like 30-ish seconds long. Right there, you saw the block was disintegrating as we got killed. It's really unfortunate when that happens, and it's a pretty hefty time loss. But that does happen, unfortunately. I thought we were going to get out of it scot-free, but unfortunately, right at the last minute, things had to go no good real quick. There we are. Just got to do the same thing again. A little bit of slowdown there from all those flashing blocks above us, but that's no biggie. And we got through second try. That is actually better than the current world record. So I will accept it. This is fine. I'm going to run over here to the left, and we can actually move and jump during this cutscene thanks to the bicycle, which allows us to immediately start wailing on this helicopter, which unfortunately we can't despawn, but we can destroy. We can kind of use the bike as a second jump to keep ourselves in place as we just do massive damage to this helicopter, do a cool wall jump off the side, and then as he's flailing about, we can still hit him, which means we can destroy him during that part where he can't hit us, meaning as he's just here having a grand old time, we can go about our business, and he's just going to take his time in being destroyed. And at the end of this room, I'm actually going to pause and refill health because you can take damage here, and it's not great. There's a small glitch you can do which saves about 15 seconds at the end, and you'll know it when you see it. There's a way to gain control of your character during a cutscene where you're normally not supposed to, thanks to the bicycle. Let's see if we get it. We got it. Aw, yeah. And there we go. We're now sideways. What that cutscene normally is, it turns you sideways when the bike explodes, and then you lay on the floor for a little bit, and then you get back up. But we gained control while we were sideways and left the room before it ended, which means we can do this entire boss fight sideways, which is not any faster or slower, but it's hilarious. It also affects our collision data, which means certain attacks are going to be a lot harder to avoid, but it's just so funny. Alright, 2 cycles looking out of the question. 2 cycle is the optimal way to take care of this boss, but because of the lasers, we pretty much can't do it. Alright, that's unavoidable. There we go, 3 cycle, not bad. We did sideways %, so I will accept this. And then there at the end of the fight, we pick ourselves back up and we're upright once more. You can see that the frame rate is dropping to insane degrees. And again, it is different on every computer for reasons beyond our comprehension. And so he's just going to explode into squares. There's about 90 seconds of cutscene here, so it'd be a great time for donations. Not too terribly much going on. There's going to be a fake-out ending right around here. Give it a second. There we go. I can give a warning for that if the concern for a jump scare is too real. Oh, speaking of, sorry. I hear it so many times it just doesn't affect me anymore, but I'm kind of now realizing that could be a big deal. So here we are in Bone Hell. And while Bike segment was a really, really tough segment on its own, Bone Hell is a collection of very tough segments strung together. And it uses a bunch of exploits that we don't really use anywhere else. Like, it uses a lot of out of bounds, it uses a lot of having to catch cycles, and a lot of one-hit kill spikes, which we're going to demonstrate here. Just like this. Now, why'd we do that? Well, it moves that thrower, which means he can take care of that death block for us. Because otherwise we'd have to wait a few seconds to take care of him, and then we'd probably run into the death block, and that's no good. We're going to use Spin Boost and the Flutter here to just go over these big spike pits. There we go. That is really, really tight platforming, so the fact we got it first try is incroyable. This segment can go like a lot of different ways. The fire bar is actually a lot tougher than it looks. There we go, and I got the small out of bounds like I was saying before. Gonna play this safe instead of getting owned by the worm. And here's the one room in the game where cycles are important. They are super important. Super duper important, in fact. And we got that one first cycle A-okay. I'm gonna let this guy come down so I can boost off of him. Not the best boost I've ever done, but we didn't fall into the one-hit kill spike, so I'll accept it. There's some more lag. I sure hope you like explosions, because there was a bunch of them there. Missed this platform. It's pretty much a 50-50 whether or not it's going to start going left or right, because it switches direction every single frame. Gonna refill health at this checkpoint here to get a better cycle. And there we are. Can I get it? Oh no. If you get 2 super jump punches there, you can catch that platform you saw right as it's coming back down instead of when it's going up. But that is a little unfortunate. It only cost a few seconds, but we were this close. Gonna do some funny wall jumps, and gonna do one more super jump punch out of bounds. And we're going to hit the level trigger from below. There we go. Or from behind, I mean. And there, you might be wondering what happened. When I paused and died to skip a cutscene, and then I hit the control key on the keyboard, which is actually a developer tool, a debug tool left in by accident. It's not a glitch, it's not an exploit, but it is funny. And when I show that off during the first marathon run of this game, like I said, the devs were watching, and they were shocked to find it. And honestly, I'm glad it's there, because that fight is really slow otherwise. We got a big long segment and not too much going on here. There's going to be some cutscenes. We're going to run through an empty hallway for a little bit. Again, good time for donations. Again, like, there is a pretty big boss gauntlet coming up, but I'll kind of explain that as we get a little bit closer towards it. But I'm just going to kind of mash through these text boxes. Hopefully so fast you don't even see them. There we go. Alright, that was fast. There we go. And I'm mashing through these with start so quickly that they're opening and closing before they're even done. Which is one of the perks of the way we have the current, the way the current mashing system was implemented in this newest patch. And here we go. Really tough boss fight coming up. We will die in 3 hits, so it's really important to play it safe. Got to space just right. And here we are. It's going to be a character you may have recognized from another video game. It's us from Super Benbo Quest Turbo Deluxe. Look out. It's us. So, our clone can do insanely high damage and insanely high knockback. But our punch slightly outranges hers, which means if we time it just right, we can kind of have her walk into us and do big damage. Oh, this is getting hairy. Oh, yeah, the slide. Should have seen it coming. But there we go. This is really solid so far. The problem is we have to just do the standing punches, so I'm kind of going in and out of her punch range a little bit. Because if you go too fast, it'll be a dash punch, and that's pretty slow. That was a solid second try fight. And again, the whole point there is to kind of space her out at the very edge of your punching range, and then just let her walk into you, and that is done. What? What? Who shot the big evil guy? It wasn't us. Oh no. Oh no. Who could it be? Who could it be? Oh my goodness. It's him. So we're going to start this fight the same way we started the previous fight. We're going to run up and we're going to do a bunch of standing punches. Now this attack here, he's going to warp to the top 3 times, and he's always going to land directly below where he starts. And hopefully that's the last time we see that. He's shooting the lasers, that's no good. Alright, phase 1 isn't too terribly goings-on-y, but hopefully he stays low for this next part. High spawn, alright, can live with it. You can kind of hit these skulls as they're spawning to take him out super quickly, but he spawned too high for us to hit him from the ground, so it relied on jumping punches, and that is not as consistent. Whoa, that did a lot of damage. I didn't actually expect that to do that much damage, so we're going to have to do this fight again. Hopefully we can get the low spawn. And there we go. Ah, took a little damage, that's not good. Alright. There we go. Low spawn, low spawn, low spawn. That is the invisible spawn. That is super not good. If he does that in the middle of a warp, he will be invisible and invulnerable for the entirety of that spawning phase, meaning we can't get the trick at all. No chance. I can kind of stay out of his range. Alright, we're not dead yet. Okay. And oh no 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 no. Okay, that was super close. Like that was unbelievably close. Not the optimal fight, but I will take it. Second try, none too shabby. Now the third phase, we're hoping he does an attack called the Stomp, because he'll just stand in place for a very long time, which is good for us. Because we can just like the previous bosses, we can just wail on him if he's not doing anything. But I'm going to have to kind of react to which attack he does. He has like 5 or 6 different options, but he always starts with this swoop. And I can kind of gauge where I'm going based on the swoop. Can I get the stomp? There's the stomp, alright. Couldn't quite get the one shot there. But there we go. And like the previous cutscenes, we actually have backwards momentum now. So as he breaks the door, we're going to be able to pass right through it. Well, we would if we didn't actually get... If we were going a little bit slower, we could hit him as he was going across the wall. Gonna refill my health on those spikes there. 1 for the sick moonwalk, and 2, this is the most treacherous platforming segment in the entire game. There's very little we can do in terms of speed tech, other than just survive. Because there's insta-kill spikes on the ceiling, there's insta-kill blocks. Not a whole lot of room to get crazy fast. And of course, in a no-reset environment, you don't want to do anything too high risk, because that could lose a bunch of time. Oh, goodness, I almost dive-kicked into lava there. Would have been really bad. Alright, and I approached that very slowly, because there have been times where I clipped just around the detection there and immediately died and had to do the whole thing over again. Not good. Speaking of immediately dying, when this fight starts, I'm going to pause and immediately die. And you might be wondering why. Because we're at full health, and the cutscene is playing out as it is right now. And it actually changes the position of our spawn, like it did at the start of this level for the thrower. And we're going to be way up top. Oh. There we go. Oh. One more time. Now, something I haven't mentioned yet is that when you do a dive kick, you can actually wall jump right after. Goodness, please stop. Alright, gonna take it a little bit slow. For whatever reason, he was just not being a fan of the way I was doing the little exploit there. But that skips about 30 seconds of waiting before you can even try to hit him. And of course, the super jump punch can get us up to his big punching face. A little easier. As does clipping into these little spike platforms on the side. Which means you can just stand there and do a bunch of grounded punches, which is, of course, the fastest damage we got. Whoa, Nelly. Oh, goodness. Alright, that's not good. But his first phase did die in 1 hit, so that is acceptable. I think that was added in a more recent patch, just in case someone happened to die on the second phase. So there we go. Just gonna take care of this. Almost done. Stop. There we go. Now we're moving and grooving. And we are on the bicycle once more. This time it's not our enemy. There's about a minute out to the end while we do this silly little jump noises cutscene. We picked up a heart somewhere along the road, so I'm okay with that. And there we go. We punched the big skeleton head. Not too much further out. Time is going to end when lightning appears when I punch him the next time. Spoilers, by the way, I'm going to punch him one more time. But that's no big worry. Got this cool cinematic cutscene. Look at all this craziness. This must have been really hard to draw. And there he is. There's Mr. Skelly Man. King of all evil. And he's going to get punched one last time. Here we go. And... time. And that is Super Benbo Quest Turbo Deluxe Any %. It's a wacky game, it's a silly game. It was done quick, I'd say. It's full of nonsense. The estimate's kind of high for the run length, just because there's a lot of inconsistencies with the spin boost, with certain boss fights, things that just don't go right, and things that we'll find new and creative ways to go wrong. Because what's a silly game without its fair share of weird stuff, you know, right? But yeah, I appreciate you watching. I hope you consider it for the marathon. Like I mentioned before, I have run this game in marathons in past. I ran it at Resort Fest International, Resort Fest Fall Fright, and then at Arts TA, which was a marathon for weird and experimental indie games. And from what I could tell, it was pretty well received at all of those events. And so that's going to be it for me. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.